Okay, today we're going to talk about directories and maneuvering directories, changing directories, creating, removing, things of that nature. Okay, when you first start up your Cygwin prompt, you are in your own home directory that's personal to you. PWD is print working directory, and it will show you where you are presently on the system. Linux and Cygwin has a concept of a current working directory, and so PWD will demonstrate where you're at right now. If we were to change directories and go to a different place, such as the etc directory, and we do PWD, now you see that it shows etc. We're in a different directory. If I do cd/var, we are now in the var directory. If I do a cd all by itself, then you will notice that you go back to your home directory. cd without a destination is a shortcut to go to your home directory. cd- is a shortcut to go back to the last place you just came from. So here you see that you last came from var. So if I go to cd/etc, you'll see if I do cd-, you'll see me go back and forth between those two, just because that's the way the dash works. So it's a really handy shortcut for trying to do something like that. Let's go back to our home directory, take a look around. There's no directories here. Let's create a directory. Bob. All right, now we have a Bob directory. Notice the D on the very front up here. Okay, that signifies a directory. So touch hide text, as opposed to a regular text file or just regular file that has just a dash. A dash is a regular file, and a D is a directory. Okay, so now let's go back to etc. So let's say we're off in the file system and doing other stuff, and now we want to go back to our home directory, or even reference a file in our home directory. Like we could do touch to create a file, and then our home directory /Bob, and I'm going to use tab to do file name completion, and it would automatically complete it out. And then I'll give it a file name, hello.txt, and if I look at my home directory, you'll notice there's a Bob directory, Bob, and there's the contents right there of that directory, hello.txt. So also, PWD, I'm in etc directory, I can change directory there. So cd-Bob. And now you can see I maneuvered all the way to that directory. Okay. Okay, so yeah, you're required to have /tilde/Bob. All right, so let's go back to our home directory, show you what's here. mkdir will remove a directory, Bob, but Bob's not empty, so this will complain. So there's a way to force this remove, but I like relying on the fact that mkdir won't remove a directory if it's not empty. So I like to empty the directory first, then run mkdir on it. Okay. There is no trash can in Linux, so once you delete something, it's gone. So be careful. And so that's why I use mkdir instead of the sledgehammer. Yes. Okay. So let's discuss absolute versus relative. So if I say go to the /etc directory, okay, that's an absolute path. If I say, let's go back home, mkdir Bob. If I say change directory to Bob, it's a relative entry because it's not with a leading slash. If I can go to /home Bob, then that is an absolute directory change. Okay, exact same thing as cd-Bob, but cd-Bob is just a relative one, whereas the absolute is cd/home /Bob, and there you go. Okay, so understand that you have two choices. You have absolute, where you start it at root and come down, absolute. And you have relative, which is without the slash, or also this is relative as well. cd ... that is relative as well. So like, let's say my home directory, and I want to go up to home, up to root, over to etc, and now I'm in the /etc directory. So I went there using relative names rather than the absolute name. So both exist. You need to be aware of both and just know how to use them. The only thing as far as scripting wise, there's pros and cons on both. With absolute, you may not want to use absolutes. You may not. It depends. Because if you change systems, or if you change directories, or if you want to have two installs of your program that's separate from each other, if they're referencing absolute, then you can only have basically one copy in your system. Whereas if you're using relative, then you could have multiple copies, because they could just each be in different directories, and be good from that. The only thing is using relative, also you need to pay attention to what directory you're currently in, because you're not pointing from a known location, so you're pointing from your current location, and therefore you could point to the wrong spot, and you have to debug why that's not working. Okay. All right, let's get into files real quick. Let's go ahead and do that as part of this. So let's go back to our home directory. Get rid of Bob here. Okay, we're empty. So if I touch a file, then it creates a zero size file. Cat the file, there's nothing there. I can put contents into there by appending. Echo hello world append, which is the double greater than, append to hi.txt. And notice it's no longer a size 0, but a size 12. And if I cat hi.txt, you'll see the contents of hello world. Okay. Cat can also do line numbers, -n, so cat-n hi.txt. There's only one line, but you get line numbers on there. Another way, if you need to debug things, you can do cat hello, xxd -g1. That also will give you character by character representation of what every character in there is. Of importance is let's overwrite this file with just 3 characters. Go hi, output to hi.txt. So if I do a listing, you'll see hi.txt contains 3 characters. You may wonder, well, no, it only contains 2. Right? 1, 2. So if I do xxd -g1, then that third character is a non-printable character, which is the OA, which is the new line. Windows has carriage return new line, and Linux and Unix has just new line. It can use and recognize the carriage return, but it doesn't use it as a normal daily feature. If you put a text file in Unix format or Linux format, then you're asking to get rid of the carriage returns. And if you need to convert from Linux format to Windows format, that means you're going to convert all the new lines to carriage return new lines. Okay, and there's lots of tools to do that. Now let's get into moving files, renaming files. So make a directory called Bob, and I can move my hi.txt into Bob. And notice it's no longer here, but it is actually inside of the Bob directory. Okay. So we can also hi.txt to hi2.txt. This is a rename. Okay, that's how you rename a file, was the move command. You can also combine both, hi2 to one directory up, and then myfile.txt. And so it's no longer here, but it is now here. So I did a directory move and a rename. But let's say I have a, I wouldn't normally use a move and a rename. I would separate them out. Why? As a pro tip is because, like, let's say my file was, you know, like this is a really long, complicated file name, right? Well, if I want to change it from, like, let's say from 1 to 2 and move the directory, then that's called tab file name completion. You just type part of it, hit the tab key, and the whole thing types out. If I'm going to put it into here into Bob, I can't do tab file name completion, so I'm going to have to actually type the whole thing out, and I might mess it up. And so I don't want to do that. So what I do is I do the rename first, or second, it really doesn't matter, but I do the rename. Then after I do the rename, then I can move it into here and not goof the name. Because if you already have the whole file name as a speed up for you, then why waste that? So again, so if I do this and then this, so notice how when you hit the tab, and you can just change this part, .txt. See? So those are some speed ups on how to rename a file, move a file. Okay, we've done everything else. Now we need to remove a file. So if you cat this, you can see the contents, and I can say, yes, I'm fine with deleting this file. Size 3, so remove this is okay, and that's it, it's gone. Get rid of my directory, rmdir bot. All right, thanks for watching. Until next time.